Greetings, traders. This is Mohan here, and welcome to our Wednesday afternoon training session for Boomerang Day Trader. First of all, before we get started, make sure you understand and have read the disclaimer and risk disclosure that we like to show you every time that we come on and do a webinar. Just to let you know that being aware of the risks and willing to accept them of futures trading, and be aware that you can don't trade with money you cannot afford to lose. You can't come in with your last couple $1,000 and try to win in the futures market. It's going to take some learning curve, and it's generally for people who are pretty well off and they got some extra money they want to trade with and learn how to trade. So also remember that what I'm showing you here on the site, even though these are exact trade signals that are coming in live on the software and on the still charts, we have to consider them to be hypothetical. It's no big deal at all. So keep that in mind as we get started here. And today's going to be very exciting. I'm going to show you several things. But I would like to stress that if you are a Boomerang owner especially, to make sure and attend each one of these that we have every 2 weeks on Wednesdays usually. I was on vacation last week, so we didn't have a webinar. We're just going to do it today. Make sure and attend these because there's always things that'll come out that you'll learn. You might have missed me saying it on a previous webinar, or you all of a sudden you might hear something that I say and have one of those aha moments, and that aha moment can put thousands of dollars in your pocket and at the same time prevent you from losing thousands of dollars. That's the amazing thing about futures trading, and it's important to understand this, that every trade can be a double loss or double gain. The reason is, if you lose on a trade, you lost the money on the trade and you didn't make the money on the trade by going in the opposite direction. If you win on a trade, you make money that way and you didn't lose. I know it sounds funny, but that's actually the case with futures trading. It's very fast game, and it's but one thing I often say is that a double loss in trading is when you do make a mistake or you don't follow the rules of Boomerang and you make a mistake or whatever, but you don't learn from it. And that's a double loss. Say you lost in the trade. A double loss is to get angry and try to justify that you did the right thing, but you had a loss anyway. Anyway, it's important to understand that. The way to overcome that a lot is to always review your trades for each day. Make sure and write them down when you're taking the trade, track the trade, and at the end of the day, you can go back over those trades and double check your entries and exits and just make sure that you were exactly following the rules. And you'll see over time, doing this every day, very, very disciplined fashion, will improve your trading results tremendously. So welcome to the webinar, and thanks for joining with us today. I see we got a large crowd here, and that is most appreciated. Always great to see you. And a lot of the members that are coming in here for today are new to Boomerang Day Trader, and that is also appreciated. Great to see you. I'm going to show you many examples today of how Boomerang makes money, and that's really what Boomerang and what our webinars are all about, is making money. There's plenty of webinars out there that'll twist your brain with all kinds of complicated theories and charts and ideas and this method, that method, but they tend to, I've seen it over and over, they tend to forget about making money. It's like you get into trading and it's so difficult and you're winning and you're losing, you forget about making money. So on Boomerang Day Trader, we're really focused, and that was the reason for building Boomerang, is so that new beginning traders, those who've been trading a while, maybe on a losing cycle or a break-even cycle, can break free from that and get into a consistent winning pattern. So I'd like to show you exactly how we do that today. And then today's theme, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about crude oil. I'm going to talk about how to trade using one of my favorite day trading contracts on the U.S. markets, the mini Nasdaq contract. Certainly one of the leaders in the markets and an actively traded and moved contract. But before I get into that, I'm also going to talk today about there's half a dozen or more ways to read the markets with Boomerang, and I'm going to show you some exciting things today. And again, this is why I encourage you to attend all of these, or at least watch recordings, because I record most of them, and at least you'll stay refreshed in the business. Greetings, traders, and thanks for joining with us today. Today's Wednesday, and we're starting our webinar today for the Boomerang Trading. I sure appreciate you joining with us. I usually have these every Wednesday. Last week I was on vacation, so we didn't have one. I usually have them every 2 Wednesdays, every bi-weekly period. So today's training is going to be very focused on the Boomerang method. I appreciate seeing you here, a large group of you here today. And thanks for joining with us. Probably, I'm guessing some of the names. I see some new guests here who have joined our trading service here to try to find out more about Boomerang and how to make steady, consistent gains. First of all, you saw the disclaimer that I posted earlier. Just remember that futures trading is risky and only risk capital should be employed for futures trading. It's very important to understand that. One of the most important things, in fact. And greetings to all of you. Thanks very much for joining us. And what I'd like to say first of all is that there are about a dozen ways to read the market with Boomerang. I'm going to be going over those later. I'm going to show you the regular setups here too on the crude oil. As you can see, we got a crude oil chart up here, and on my favorite U.S. stock index contract, which is the mini Nasdaq, symbol NQ. So I'll be going over that today, plus, like I said, showing you how to read the market with Boomerang. It has many valuable aspects to it. But the main thing to remember is this. Our webinars, everything that I do is about making money. I'm not here really to hypothesize about trading in the markets, present you with some really complicated charts and methods and rules and things. That's really not what we do. We show you a very simple way to make money steadily every day by scalping in these crude oil and mini NAS or other stock index contracts. Now, Boomerang can be used on any active futures, stock, or ETF. You can use it on the DAX, you can use it on the European markets, on the currencies. It works good on all markets, but we actually guarantee 90% winning trades on the U.S. stock indexes, specifically the mini Nasdaq and the ES. And on crude oil, we also guarantee that, but crude oil is actually running about 95% or higher winning trades on the trade signals. I call them trade signals, and we have to call them hypothetical because this is a software that I'm showing you, but the software shows exact entries and exits according to our rules, so it's very easy to determine that these are going to be winning trades. All you got to do is execute the trades. So with that in mind, let's get started. First of all, before I go into how to use Boomerang for other purposes, I'll let you know this. I'm going to speak for about 40 minutes, and it's all recorded and everything, and then I'll stop and we'll have a Q&A period for as long as you need to answer any questions that you have. So just kindly hold your questions, and I'll be glad to get back to you in approximately 40 minutes after I make my presentation here. That way I can stay really focused and get all this information to you that I want to. Another thing which I'd like to say, this is why it would be great if you own Boomerang to attend or watch the recordings all the time, because something will come out and you may have an aha moment that you missed on a previous recording for whatever reason, or it was something new that I said, and that aha moment can be worth thousands of dollars to you, because if you're not on the wrong side and losing money, you're on the right side and making money. So it becomes a double win if you have something that really resonates and gets you on the right side of these Boomerang rules. They're very simple to follow. Another important thing I'd like to say is that the market's a little bit different every day. Sometimes it's a lot different, and there's different seasons and periods, and there's news that affects the markets. So just keep that in mind. No system or our method is exactly the same pat method. Our method for Boomerang is the exact same method, but the markets change. Like right now, we're just coming into the final close of the summer period. Now, many new traders don't know this, but in August, a lot of the big players take off and they go to their lake homes or out on their boats, or they take trips around the world or to Hawaii or somewhere, the Caribbean. But a lot of big players are out of the markets at this time, and so it's important to realize you got the slow summer period, very slow volume, very tight ranges, combined with a little less participation in the market of traders. So don't be discouraged by this slow summer volume. It happens every year. It's routine. You see what I mean? So With that being said, let me show you how Boomerang works. First of all, you have a trade channel, which is marked by an arrow here. In this case, a buy pointing up, a buy channel, which is shaded green. And the sell channel, you can see here, is shaded in a kind of off reddish white color. I made it kind of a little more on the white grayish side so it would stand out more in the black chart so you could see it better. But these are all, you can color these any color that you want. Now, the second component is the trade channel opening up. That's when you start looking for a trade. As soon as that candle locks down, because we're using a 450 tick chart, you'll see that you can put this right in here, this little meter to tell you exactly when the candle is going to close when the 450 ticks are used up. And that's when you start looking for the next trade. We also have the trade signal line, which runs through the trade channel. And the trade signal line will actually show you that's where the dots are going to appear on the signal line. That's where we're going to buy or sell trades on the pullbacks to the signal line. See these yellow dots? It's going to print a dot on the signal line after the candle closes up to six candles after the trade signal line candle is closed. So you see that? After that, like here, you can see them come back to the signal line, but there's no dots here because they're only going to print them up to 6 candles. And in our trading, we want to get in the earliest dot on the signal line as possible with the correct setup after a new trade channel is opened. So I hope you understood that, because now I'm going to show you what the setups are. You wouldn't believe how easy it is. In the earlier Boomerang, I would use these bias indicators to determine when we'd get in. They're still extremely valuable. You have bias index number 1, bias index number 2, and what's called the hyper scalp. Now on this hyper scalp for crude oil, because we're not going to be using these, I've shrunk this hyper scalp down to where it's just a fine bias line, and it's going to front run the other indicators a little bit, like you can see here, turning green here, turning bullish, a little bit ahead of the other indicators. That's what's great about hyperscalp used in this way. Now, the way we trade with Boomerang is that we look for, these are called the dynamic trend bands. This is dynamic trend band number 1. This is dynamic trend band number 2, which is the thick, solid colored line, a little bit thicker. And we also have a line here called the Cobra. That's what I call the Cobra. And this is really great because it will change colors usually in advance of the other two. It'll slightly front run it and let you know when the potential for a new trade channel is going to come in, so you're well aware of it. These markets are fast, but Boomerang gives you all kinds of tools for knowing when things are going to shift. You can see here too, the Cobra started changing. The dynamic trend band had changed, but here the Cobra changed. You get all three of these matching, you're going to get a dynamite trade directional move in most cases. So combining these, what you're looking for, first I'll explain the crude oil rules, and then I'll roll over to the Nasdaq. They're virtually the same, but with crude oil, all we're looking for is the matching dynamic trend bands, or where they're right on the verge of a crossover, like right here. You can see this candle right here is occurring right when they're on the verge of a crossover and they're matching colors at the same time. You can buy this pullback to the signal line, because these are both the blue buy colors here, the bullish color. You're in a buy channel, everything's turning up, and you trade that pullback to the signal line, and you scalp for, on crude oil, we scalp for 8 to 10 ticks. Normally it's 10, but I like to say 8 to 10 because that way if you had a little slippage on your entry or whatever, just go ahead and nail that 8 to 10 tick move, and it'll often happen very quickly. As you can see here, the minute that pulled back, in fact, let me switch over real quickly here to a crosshair cursor so you can see the price. As soon as they pulled right back there, you can see that 43.01 on the far right. See that over there? I'm wiggling it now. 43.01 or 43.02, let's say. The minute it hit that on the pullback signal line, the price is shot straight up within just a couple minutes to 43.17. So you can see there was easily 8 to 10 ticks within that move. Actually, on the second candle, 43.02, there was 8 ticks within the second candle and easily 10 ticks within this one. You see how that works? Now, the crude oil, this is a West Coast chart. So crude oil is normally going to become active right around 6, but sometimes in pre-market, the first half hour pre-market, which is right here, you can see another winning trade as the sell channel opens. The dynamic trend bands are matching the bearish color, a pullback the signal line, and there's 10 ticks. Now on crude oil, on one contract only, which is the minimum you can trade, one contract, that's going to be $10 a tick. 10 ticks is $100 in your pocket, minus about $4.50 commission. $100 here, $100 here. You can see that if you had 4 or 5 up to 10 trades a day that were all winners, or maybe 1 or 2 losers, but we rarely have them with the crude oil following the rules. That's going to put a nice paycheck in your pocket just in one contract. Say you get 6 winning trades in a row, you got about $530 after commission. And what if you're trading 2 contracts, you see? So you're carving out a nice paycheck for yourself. Let me quickly bring over, and I hope it fits here. It should be okay. I'm going to quickly bring over this mini Nasdaq chart, and the reason for that is I want to show you the slight difference in the method for trading the mini Nas. Now, keep in mind the markets today especially were ultra choppy. They have been the last couple of weeks because of the slow volume and the rigging of the markets by the Federal Reserve. They've been propping up and rigging the markets, especially this week because of the big Jackson Hole, Wyoming conference that's going to start this weekend with Janet Yellen speaking on Friday. So they've been really jacking these markets up, and there's other reasons for that which I can explain to you perhaps later, but not right now because I want to get on track with my explanation of the Boomerang here. So here's Boomerang right now, and the way Boomerang works, it's the same as the crude oil in that you have an opening trade channel, and you look at the dynamic trend bands. You say, have they crossed over? In other words, has dynamic trend band number 1 crossed, in the case of buy channel, above the number 2, or in the case of the sell, below it? Are they matching colors? Or if they haven't crossed over yet, is the spread of the crossover a 1.5 or less? And I don't have an example of that now, but I'll get to that. We take the pullback signal line, which in this case here, right after the opening, was 47.69 even, and we're looking for a 3-point move. Not looking for any more, although as you purchase Boomerang, you get very experienced with it. I will show you methods for catching more points. But for now, just concentrate more on capturing the 3 points of the exact method, adding contracts to that. If you get to trading 4 contracts, that's $230 a trade after commission. My God, you put on 4 winning trades, you're going to have $1,000 day. That's darn good. So here's the pullback on the first signal line. See that? 68, 69 even, and 69 even shoots up to 73 on this candle. So within a short time, no pressure on the entry, you got a nice $230 in your pocket on the 4 contracts. Now, that's all there is to it. I'm trying to find a crossover that has that spread. See, very choppy here. But so you're watching for dynamic trend bands to match generally in a new configuration. And again, I never go through these in like pre-track winning days or anything. Don't have to with Boomerang because there's 90% guaranteed winning trades. But I'm trying to find an example. Here's an example. Here's a trade here. Let's take this one here. Here's the market. And again, you don't do anything until you see the arrow light up, and it's going to be alarmed, and you'll see this arrow come right in here. It'll be alarmed, so you know it's coming. You wait for the candle to close, and then while you're waiting for that candle to close, you're deciding, are the dynamic trend bands matching colors? Have they crossed over yet? Or, and this is a good example, or are they at least a 1.5 spread or less tighter between the bands? Now, if I put my cursor right here on dynamic trend number 2, right on this candle, you can see that 33/4 on the far right there? And I push it up here to the top band. See how it says 35? So 33/4 minus 35, you can do it in a split second. You get real good at this. Is 1.75 spread. Not quite point and a half or less. And I came up with this after testing hundreds and hundreds of charts and months in the market. So it's not just some random rule. So this trade, you might not have caught that unless you had some idea that you're going to just hit them there. And that comes with experience. You get a little bit intuitive, or shall I say a lot intuitive, working with Boomerang over the months and years ahead. But this trade here, you can definitely see the dynamic trend bands are matching. So you go short here at the market. There's your 3 points. Now here's an example here, and it's very important. There was no crossover until right here. They weren't matching colors until this candle here. Now, the dynamic trend band number 1 turned the bluish bicolor way down here, but there's no trade here because all the bullets, shall we say, or the pullbacks to the signal line were used up before there was a correct trade setup with the dynamic trend bands. Now, there is one condition where it'll still allow you to get in the trade, but that was not met on this trade. And if I find one, I'll show that to you. So I just wanted you to know that would not be a boomerang trade, and they just took off running, and that's part of trading. You just put a little sign up in your computer that says, who cares? So what? No big deal. I've used this for a long time, and it's very important to have that mindset in trading. So what? Who cares? Oh, there they oh, look, they're going further. Oh, more and more. I missed that one. Who cares? So what? No big deal. Now here's a case where the dynamic trend bands crossed over. You see that? They weren't matching here, so there was no trade, and they just took off to the upside. Then they came crashing back down. The dynamic trend bands had already crossed on the downside. So what that tells you, now that this dynamic trend band number 1 is crossed on number 2, and there's a sell channel, even if number 2 does not match the color, you can still take the trade as long as dynamic trend band number 1 has the red, in this case magenta is the color, but it's red color for the bearish color to match the sell channel. See that? So in this case, they've already crossed over. All you're looking for is the dynamic trend band number 1 at least to be bearish color. And in this case, when they hit this candle here, they're both matching. You went short, and there's another winning trade for you. No trade here and no trade here. Now you might say, well, they're matching colors on the DTBs. That's correct, but this is a second level trade, and it's not set up in the correct configuration. However, even in spite of that, this trade from 37 did indeed pull back almost 3 points. Not quite, but it doesn't matter. It's not a correct trade. Now, this is coming into the close. Normally, you're not going to take trades here, but you can see there was another winning trade. Here's a buy channel. Here they are crossing over and matching color right on this pullback here. 40 half jumps up to 46. I'm just showing you as an example. You normally wouldn't be trading this late in the day, although the Boomerang Day Trader will still give you precision accurate entries even on Globex as well. So let me get back to crude oil real quick. I wanted to show you the difference, and there is another trade. It's called a trend trade. Now, as a quick side note, all the things that I'm showing you here are described elaborately with specific videos on these methods. Under the Boomerang, you have to go to boomerangtrader.com for all things Boomerang. Boomerangtrader.com, and under resources, and you'll see here an explanation of the Boomerang indicators, the different indicators in Boomerang, which I didn't talk about much today, because I've already got these nice videos that explains elaborately on that specific subject. Here's on trading crude oil, which I'll go over in a minute. Here I want to show you a couple days of 95% winning trades. Trend trading method. This is exactly what I was talking about a second ago. You can read that in here, but I'll explain it to you if we hit one on crude oil. I think we'll find one. How to manage congested areas in whipsaw. How to apply constant line levels to the chart. That's just kind of a mechanical element of working with the charts. How to read precision read more with more precision in each price movement using hyperscalp. That's my indicator that we have here. It's amazing. Bunker boomerang trading method, when things get real volatile and crazy whipsaw like today, you have to employ the bunker boomerang trading method, which is very simple to use, and the two trade method which I just described here. So keep that in mind. That's always available to you for free, boomerangtrader.com. And if you don't own Boomerang, you can go through all those videos and learn everything about Boomerang. And when you buy it and you upload it onto your Ninja charts, you unravel it here on your screen, you're going to see everything that will look exactly the same as mine, and you're going to know exactly what to do because you've already watched the videos. Now, here's an example. Well, this is crude oil here. Crude oil is a lot simpler. All you're looking for with crude oil, as I mentioned earlier, matching color or right on the verge of a crossover. And you take the trade, you look for 10 ticks. 8 to 10 ticks, I like to say. Here's a buy channel, matching dynamic trend bands. Go long at 31, and they run up to 47 for 10 ticks. Here's a sell channel. Here's the crossover. This is exactly at the point of the crossover here, and they're matching here, but you could have nailed them on this candle because they're already crossing. They're right at the crossover point. Sell them there. The crude oil collapses, gives you easy 10 ticks. 38 was the short, and they went all the way down to 90. It went down 30 ticks. Just crunched them. Now here, notice this. There's no boomerang trade, and why is that? Little cute question, little quiz for you. Okay, I see some of you replying. Thank you. That's right. There's no crossover, nor are they exactly at the crossover or matching colors. That's the only rule for boomerang. A little bit slightly simpler than NAS, but not by much, just slightly. No trade here. They just took off, and we didn't get the right configuration in order to make a trade. But there's already been, I think, 3 or 4 winning trades on this session, if I recall. Well, lo and behold, just wait. There's another one around the corner. Here's a sell channel. Here's boomerang right on this candle. Dynamic trend band number 1 and 2 are matching colors. And if for some reason you missed that, then you can catch them here. You go short, and there's 10 ticks. If you shorted here, there's 10 ticks. And again, some people have asked, but these are still charts. It's different live. I go, well, live trading is always, of course, more active. That's when the market's flying around all over. But listen, we're using a 12 to 13 tick stop in here. Let's say 13 tick stop with a 10-point gain. So just a very tight stop. These are still charts, but the yellow dots and the blue dots will not print on the signal line unless that price was hit in live market action. I could take this chart, and we could be a year ahead from now. I could be doing a webinar, and if I had the data stored, I could go back to this day, and those yellow dots will still be exactly there. That's the difference with that's the answer to that question, because Boomerang is printing it. That's where our exact entry is. There is no other entry. There's no guessing that it could have been here, or you say, well, here's that price, but it's a still chart. When they were live, they might have went all over the place. Well, the truth is, if this price was hit, which it was, and the market had moved up 13 ticks, it would show on the still chart here. There's no way that it wouldn't. It doesn't matter if you're live or looking at it later in a still chart. The price to stop this out would have had to go up 13 ticks, and it didn't. It went to 29 and dropped straight down for 10 ticks. Then you're waiting as they continue to collapse, which again, look up look up at your sign there. You got out with 10 ticks and your heart's racing. You go, oh man, great. Traded 2 contracts, put $200 in my pocket, and then they just fall off the wagon. Look up at your sign. So what? Who cares? No big deal. I'm a futures trader. You got to have that attitude. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself nuts. Believe me. All right. Now, look at this configuration here. Crude's whipsawing around. actually go into a little whipsaw frenzy here, a buy channel, a sell channel, a buy channel. And that's just part of whipsaw is going to cause that to happen. It's one of the ways where we read whipsaw on Boomerang. When it's whipsawing, just stand aside. You don't have to figure all this out. All you got to do is stand aside and wait. Wait for what? Wait for a correct Boomerang setup. And you have that right here. Here's the crossover coming in, right? And then you have a matching here. Well, by the time the colors were matching on the dynamic trend band number 1 and 2, you had a new buy arrow come in, a pullback to the signal line, a live, alarmed and marked signal in the millisecond right there at 4305. You go up there and hit your buy button at the market, and they shot straight up for 10 ticks. So that's like in 2 hours of trading, maybe 2.5, that's about, I don't know, I lost track, 6, 7 winning trades. I'm not going to go over these. I do have audit days here in the room where we take these Wednesday briefing days, and I let you know in advance we're doing an audit today, and I'll go through very meticulously 2 weeks of exact trades, and there are shown here under 90% winning trades is where I store the audit sessions. Here's one here. Here's an audit of trade setups. Here, detailed review of setups. 100% winning trades, and this was on the mini Nasdaq. So I'm saying we do have audit sessions. Today's not one, so I'm not going to go through all these setups. I just wanted to show you today, or this one here, what date? This was 8/9/2016. I'll just finish up the session. Here's another winning crude oil trade here, nothing here. Choppy period, market opens a buy channel, and you're just waiting for them to cross or match color. Here's a cross, here's a pullback to the signal line, 42.70, shoots up to 42.86. That's got to be for this session. That's like the 8th winning trade in a row. Here's too much whipsaw here, and it's not really a genuine second level trade, although there's a buy arrow, a pullback signal line, they shot straight up. It made money, but too much whipsaw going on here. Got to learn to stand aside. And again, the crude oil, especially today, was affected more by the whipsaw and the slow market period time than it generally has been the last few weeks. Today was a little bit of an exception. Anyway, that's crude oil there. I wanted to show you that and show you how that works. What I'd like to do next, for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap up the session and go into our question and answer period. I would like to show you on the mini, we'll use the mini Nasdaq for that. I would like to show you how amazing some of the tools are for reading the markets with Boomerang Day Trader. So I'm just going to go to my platform here and set this for 30 days back. See, all I did was change that here on the data series. We're going to click apply, and now what I'm going to do is roll back 30 days, because what I'm going to show you is going to be different. These are not going to be the live trade setups. And again, I showed you the videos that you can watch if you want to see weeks and weeks of slowly audited trade signals that I do in front of a live audience of a lot of Boomerang owners from around the globe. You can watch those on the Boomerang site there at Boomerang Trader, and just look under 90% winning trade signals section. All right, what I want to show you today, which is very interesting, one of the most amazing things about Boomerang is these dynamic trend bands that I developed, and how amazing they are and wonderful for predicting the direction of a market move, because we're just scalping, so we're looking for a prediction market move, but they also will forecast larger scale moves in many cases. I would say, and again, we're looking at very choppy markets here that I'm going to show you over the next 3 weeks on this chart. I'm going to go over them real quick, but you'll see that there's definitely a proven effect of that. And again, they're not trade signals, they're just ways to read the market. Say you're in a trade and you're thinking, I'm going to go short here, but I'm waiting for the dynamic trend bands to cross over. Now you see a match and cross color, and maybe you catch this trade here, and they pull up again, but you're going to know because they're crossing over, and especially matching color, that they've got further downside to go in about, I would say, 75% to 80% odds. And bam, down they go again. See? Here's a cross over here. Now they had already whipsawed higher, but they crossed over here. But look at this. As they pulled back, they continued higher. I'm just showing you crossovers. I'm not going to even isolate the Globex sessions from the other ones. Here's a cross over here. And some of these moves are absolutely extraordinary. Here's a cross over here on Globex coming into the opening, and Boomerang takes off here. And look at, here's a cross over here. And look at the results. So just watching Boomerang and learning to use the dynamic trend bands. Here's another. Look, 3 massive moves in a row. Let me scrunch these up so you can see these. These dynamic trend bands are absolutely magnificent for knowing in advance when the market's going to make a big move. Look at this. Crossover here. See that? This is the exact crossover point right here. Huge downside move reversal. This on a 450 tick chart on mini Nasdaq. Crossover is exactly right here. Huge move up here again. Another crossover, little smaller move. And then coming into the close, gets a little choppy. Here's a crossover here. They run up. See what I mean? It's absolutely stylish. Now here's a cross under, but the market had more to run on the upside, which is fine because all you got to do when this happens during the live session, during when the market's open, a lot of times the market will make a big move, say on the upside, and it's not done with that upside. When that happens and they refuse to give you a sell signal on Boomerang, don't worry. That steep dynamic trend, just watch for the colors to match and watch for another buy channel. Make sure the colors are matching. Buy that pullback signal line. You'll get more run up, you see. Then later, when it's ready, then they'll start to work the downside. Here's a pullback the signal line at 4,700, comes down to 47.96 half, 3 points there. You see that? But so now, when you get a cross under in this case, and a counter move when they start again, you're just waiting to watch for the colored dynamic trend bands to match color. They've already crossed over, and then you get that further move. Again, here crossing over, swishing down. So the value of this is that as you're trading live, you can keep your eyes in these dynamic trend bands and figure out what's going on. You get so intuitive, you'll know, like here this market. Insane whipsaw on this day. This was 7/27 last month. Insane whipsaw here right around 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But you saw that the dynamic trend band, I do this all the time in my live trading room, the dynamic trend bands cross over, and I'll say, well, we're going to get short here. It's not the right spot, but I'll say the dynamic trend bands have crossed over on the downside, and even though it looks a little bullish here, or in this case the upside, but say I want to get short, I say even though it looks kind of bullish here, the fact that they've crossed over, the odds are so high that there's going to be downside pressure, and sure enough, it shows up. So it can really give you some incredible advanced warnings of when the market's going to make a move. Even like here, everybody's going, oh no, this market's going to get hammered lower, and you look and you go, nope, they've crossed over and matching color on the upside. I better get ready to get long, and sure enough, here they come in, they pull back here, and they go screaming higher. And the market ran and ran and ran until what? Till they crossed over again. And then they got moved to the downside. I'm going to show you a lot of these examples. Here's a cross over here. Up they go. Cross over here. Down, down, further. Cross over here. They'd already run up, so they're a little bit tired. It's not always a big move, but it's a bias move that you can use in very valuable ways, even if you just bought Boomerang for the charts and they didn't have the trade system, the 90% guaranteed winning trade signals built into it. Just for the dynamic trend bands and the colored candles and everything, it's easily worth $11.95 that I charge for it. And that's the original price from 5-6 years ago. We've had thousands of users come in We've been one of the top rated day trading systems in the world for many years, but good old Mohan has not raised the price on Boomerang. Look, you gotta ask yourself, is that a pal or what? I could have doubled the price or tripled it. I have not done that. I've kept it at the exact same price, which should be proof enough that I'm here for traders. I really care about traders and want to see them be successful. I won't talk about the gougers out there that don't even trade themselves and they build systems and they try to charge you $5,000, $10,000. It's disgusting, I know, but we won't worry about them. Anybody's else system you're looking at, just well, do you guarantee 90% winning trades in your system? And they go, no. What are you, crazy? Nobody does that. And you just say, okay, gotta go. Click, and just call Boomerang. Call us and buy Boomerang. You'll be quite happy. Here's a crossover the dynamic trend bands, or just ask them, does your system tell you exactly which way the market's going to make a big runner move in advance? No, nobody knows how the market's going to make a runner in advance. Well, okay, great. See you later. Here's a crossover. Boom. I've just showed you, what, over a dozen examples. Here's a crossover here. Market makes another runner. Here's a crossover here. Cross under. Down they go. Down they go further. You see what I'm saying? Cross over here, up they go. Cross over here, down they go. There's going to be some that won't pan out, but you can see it's running based on what I've just showed you now on this webinar, 90% or more. Look at that crossover, up they go. Huge. Here's the exact crossover starting here, but again, it's one of those deals where they're just waiting for the colors to match and to curve the other direction, and there they go. Cross over here, and you got a choppy higher move, but yet a higher move. That's forecasting ability right at your fingertips as you get to learn to use Boomerang. Another way, which I've already kind of mentioned, is that you have a whipsaw alert with Boomerang when you see counter candles matching. Now, a lot of times too, whipsaw will occur right after a big move, so that's an important rule you should write down. Whenever a big move is coming to an end, don't be too anxious to jump in on the other side right away. Just maybe let it settle a little bit, let it figure its way out, because generally there's going to be some whipsaw, and often the second attempt, in this case at a buy or a sell, will pan out a lot better on that second attempt. It's worth sometimes just missing that first one, because it's often going to turn into whipsaw. Anyway, that's an important rule too. Now, something I want to show you that I find a lot of traders with Boomerang don't seem to be using, and I want to show you how valuable that is. And I'm going to show you that now. See this trade channel? One of the features of Ultra Boomerang that we have, I don't have the line on mine, and that's because when I use this on webinars every day in my trade room and everything, I like for everything to be as clear as possible, because we're reflecting that back on the GoToWebinar to the traders. Anyway, if you own Ultra Boomerang, go to Indicators. Now mine's going to take a minute to load because I got a whole bunch of charts on here. One of these trading fanatics, which is a good thing. I hope you're one too. That's why you're at this webinar, and that's good. And then you go to Boomerang Trade Channels, right? Now if you go up here, you see the plots as fast line and slow line. Now, we don't have the fast line colored, which is the rim of the trade channel, nor do we have the slow line covered. Now, the fast line doesn't change. However, I put this special feature under the slow line where all you do is transparent will take it out, just color it white, and all of a sudden, that rim of the trade channel now has a red and a green bias coloring to the rim of the trade channel. Now I'm going to show you how valuable that can be. First of all, you can see the trade channel easier. The rim of the outside rim, but that outside rim can be very valuable because you're looking for prices to hold within this trade channel, and especially like here, if you go short here, for example, you're looking for those prices to stay under the dynamic trend band number 1 once they start spreading. And now that they've started spreading, what else are you also thinking? A little quiz for you again. That's right, you think there's an 80% chance or higher that I'm on the right side of this trade and that there will be a big move. This is what I was telling you about earlier that I was going to let you know. After you've been trading with Boomerang a while, I wouldn't do it right away. I would start out catching these 3-point scalps and building yourself up to where you're putting on 3 to 4 contracts and getting real good at that. But now that you know, based on what I showed you today, and you can go back over 20, 30, 40 charts yourself and see the proof to condition yourself that these crossovers make big moves. So here you get in this trade here and you go, you know, instead of taking 3 points, I think I'm going to shoot for 5, or I'm going to shoot for 8 points, or maybe double 6 points, because I'm getting in a trade that's right exactly where the DTBs are crossing over, which is what the method is for that. And that's the reason for the method of trading when the dynamic trend bands are matching or just in the verge of crossing over. You're putting as much market force as possible on the right side of the market in the trade to make it ideally as safe as possible, if we can use that word in futures trading. You have your stop though. You have your automatic 5-point stop. On crude oil, it's that 13 tick stop, but on the mini NAS, you got to go with a 5-point stop, but it's rarely hit. But now, excuse me, let me show you some examples here. Now notice here, see the line is green and now it changes to red. So that's additional bias information here. The dynamic trend band crosses under that. Dynamic trend band number 1 crosses under that after being above it. More bias information for downside. As it crosses up here now, this is called a second level trade. Now notice you didn't upset the color of the dynamic trend band number 2. That's the rule for what's called a second level trade. I promised you I'd find one of these earlier, and here it is. The market flips back up, and you even see the rim of the trade channel because you got a new buy channel. So the rim of the trade channel is blinking green and red, but you're not worried about that now because you can see it's not going to work out very well. You're not looking for a buy trade here. You're watching for a second level sell trade, and there it is. The minute you get a new arrow pointing down, trade a pullback sig line, and down they go. This was actually a third level trade on Boomerang, but we don't take third level trades according to the rules. You can take them if you get good at doing what you do with Boomerang. You'll catch some of them, but I just don't promote a third level trade because it's not as reliable, and I try to promote a system where I can guarantee 90% winning trades. So hence the idea of that. So here's the market moving along. Now notice the rim of the trade channels, green here, and as it changes it goes red here. It's just an additional bias tool, but where that can be really valuable is when you see the market perhaps trying to reverse the other way and the dynamic trend bands are flat and you got a flat trade channel here. You can see all these lines lining up very flat here, and as soon as that color changes, you know you're going to shift the bias of the market. So keep in mind that that's an additional tool that's very valuable also. Another tool is that when the dynamic trend band number 2, in the case of a trend move here, runs up, and now the dynamic trend band number 2 is crossed over the rim of the trade channel here, this green line, it's suggesting that the market's going to change bias at that point, somewhere near there. In this case, we had a kind of a whipsaw reaction to what was a huge move up, but I'm just trying to show you that. Another valuable tool is if you get a counter move here, for example, okay, this is pre-market, but let me just use this as an example anyway. You get prices going this way, you get the dynamic trend bands crossing over, right? And you're going, okay, we're looking for a short sale here, but notice how the rim of the trade channel is still green. That's a caution alert there. And notice if you said, okay, well, they're crossing over, I have a sell channel and a sell arrow, there's a pullback to the sig line. The rim of the trade channel, doggone, it's still green. That might give you a pause or try to nail the price a little bit higher. In which case, because you got the crossover, you figure they're going to go that direction most likely. And again, this is right off the opening, so not a good example, but I only want to use this because you can see the trade channel rim out here is not really matching the rest of the colors. So it could have given you a little pause on taking one of these trades and gotten whipsawed. Anyway, gives you the idea. Very good tool in that sense. See the same thing here. You get a crossover, and you're not going to take a sell here because there's no rule that's telling you to take a short here. But you notice that the rim of the trade channel is still green. So it's going to at least tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I would wait here before considering a short. Even like with this trade where the correct setup was there, it still would make you pause and think, well, let me wait here and get a better price or something, or trade them up to the rim of the trade channel, or even the dynamic trend band number 1. That was a tough trade no matter where you got in on this thing. But that was pre-market, so it didn't count, but I wanted to show you that. Here especially, there's no trade, but it's showing you that, to be a little bit cautious here. Now here's a cross under. Dynamic trend bands are matching here, and you can see on this one candle it was enough of a dive to create a red rim of the trade channel, helping you confirm that trade. That's all we're trying to do in every trade, is just confirm the side of the market that we want to trade on, and that's an additional tool with Boomerang I thought you'd find to be very valuable. One other thing I'd like to show you before we end the webinar officially and go into the Q&A period, and that is the use of Bollinger Bands. Now, many of you here in the room have heard me talk about those before. Sometimes when you go into a very choppy period, like for example here as they're coming into the opening, this was on 8/8 this month. You're going, wow, is this a short sale here? And you go, yeah, it is, because, well, it's pre-market, so this wouldn't count, but you're going, they're kind of flippy here. Is this going to trend? Well, one thing to watch for is prices coming down and tapping the Bollinger Band. There's this tendency, which I'll show you some quick examples, and then you can just do that on your own. You can even do it on a plain chart. Just put a 450 tick chart up on Nasdaq and put a 14 period Bollinger Band, 2 period standard deviation, just a regular Bollinger Band. And you can see it even if you don't own Boomerang yet. You can see how valuable that is. Here's a tap on the Bollinger Band. Even though they ricocheted back up here, look how the tendency is, even though they bounce back, they keep tending to fall lower because of that tap on the Bollinger Band. There's some real kind of magic, if you will, that John Bollinger discovered long ago when he developed these bands, about how they tend to pull the prices in that way. And they're used by hedge fund managers and professional traders for decades. Very valuable tool. Now notice here how you're not getting you have a succession of hits on the Bollinger Band, so they're tending to go up, but you notice how they don't tap them here again, and the whole thing falls apart. Now this is a little later in the day, and again it's getting to this period, let's see here, where we're getting to this real choppy period around the mid session of the month here. But I wanted to show you that. Now here's a big trend getting started here 10 minutes before the market closes. But it starts tapping the Bollinger Band, and the pullbacks just keep working. You see that? As soon as there's some tapping of the Bollinger Band, it has some effect of dragging the prices in that direction. They pull back here, they hit it once, and they stabilize no more. But here they come again and tapping the Bollinger Band, and they keep running them back up. Pretty amazing. Same thing here. Tapping the Bollinger Band tends to pull them down and keeps the rebounds going. So again, something you can use even if you don't have Boomerang. You just want to check that out. It's a very amazing way of watching the markets. Ninja. Just making a quick note here. All right. Here's another example here. Say you're looking for a Boomerang signal. Well, you already got it here with the dynamic trend bands crossing over. You get the tap in the Bollinger Band, and you're kind of nervous here because they haven't tapped. But then once they start tapping it, down they go. You got a new crossover also telling in advance, probably going to be a big move, but we're just looking for 3 points because we can take that to the bank. And big moves, you're going to learn to catch those. But I'm just showing you how to take our basic core method and make steady winning trades and break out of the cycle of break-even trading or losing trading that you may be in or have been in for a short while or maybe several years. It's common in trading for that to happen. So that's another key method, but in this choppy period, watch it, but it's another tool when you're waiting to look for a really good boomerang setup. Watch for taps on the Bollinger Band to confirm the trade. Now notice here, no taps here. They're tapping here, but it's just a choppy period. They're ping-ponging back and forth between the Bollinger Bands. But once you get a few steady taps, 1, 2, 3, and then they run up. Anyway, something to watch out for. Don't mind all my lines here. This is my day trading chart. I've got all these different levels marked, including the opening range. In fact, while I'm here, I'll show you another amazing thing to do, and that is to mark the opening range. I use two white colored lines that are dashed, and a red line in the middle, the center of the opening range. Take the first 5 minutes of the mini Nasdaq and mark the first 5 minutes of the trade. Let's see if that's today's. I don't think this is today's opening range, but all I can tell you is that you will be shocked and amazed at how valuable the opening range is for telling you when the market is bullish or bearish, or whether it's choppy, or whether it's going nowhere. And you'll see the bias when prices start pushing above the opening range and hanging above there, or drawing after thrusting above it and then drawing back into it. You'll have some very vital levels to watch for prices, and it's very helpful. So with that in mind, I wanted to thank you for joining with us today, and we'll now go into the question and answer period.